What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's Anfield Agenda News Roundup video. Unfortunately, I am going to be the bearer of bad news. You may or may not have seen it, but our worst fears have been confirmed. By worst fears, what do I mean? Well, you know that shiny new loan player that we got in, Arthur Melo? He's got to be ruled out for 3 to 4 months. That hamstring concern that the club were worried about got looked at by the medical team, and unfortunately he is going to require surgery, which means he will not be back in action until 2023. As always, folks, I want to know what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comment section, drop a like on the video, and I am of course going to give you my thoughts on the issue. Look, we shouldn't be surprised that a player who is not in match rhythm, a player who's been working really hard to try and get back up to fitness, falls down injured when he has a sketchy injury record anyway. Where am I going with this? Well, it just confirms what we all knew, that once again FSG and Liverpool stalled in the market, and we ended up rushing around trying to find a solution. We get a solution that breaks down, and we are right back to square one, right back where we started from. Liverpool did pay a £4 million loan fee for Arthur Melo, with of course the option to buy him at the end of the season for about £33 million. Now, my first thought when I heard this has happened was, is there a clause in the contract that would allow Liverpool to cancel it in January and send him back to Juventus? Answer is, I don't know at this moment in time, but I'm sure we're going to get to find out. Look, that might sound really harsh, but ultimately he was brought in to be cover. If he's not going to be available until January or afterwards, well, that gives us an option to go into the winter transfer market and get a player in and move Arthur back to Juventus. It is harsh, but we are not in a position where we can afford to carry more players with injuries. So if that clause is there, I fully expect Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool to make use of it. If it isn't there, then we'll see Arthur back in a Liverpool shirt early in the new year. But what does that mean for us moving forward? Well, it means that once again, we're going to be short of numbers. Thiago Alcantara, as much as I love the man, he is 65% of our games fit and available. You don't believe me? Look at his injury record from his time at Bayern Munich, his time at Liverpool. He works in and around the 60% mark. We'll all agree we don't want to see James Milner starting in midfield. We'll all agree that Jordan Henderson's form has been up and down. Fabinho, exactly the same. Then you look at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who is of course a long-term injury concern. Curtis Jones, good news is he's coming back. He's ready and available now for selection, albeit he hasn't played since the Community Shield, so there's a long way to go to get him up to match fitness. And then you're back talking about the young lads and Naby Keita. Naby Keita, well, I don't need to tell you guys about Naby Keita's injury record. So, once again, it seems like we are being punished for trying to either be too perfect or too clever as a football club. Now, it seems like Liverpool fans aren't the only one at this moment in time that is pretty annoyed by John W. Henry. I was told earlier on to take a little look on Twitter about some of the fume that's coming from Red Sox fans, and guess what? It's the same thing. Not spending money, letting players go. Seems to be a common thread here. Now, I know some people like to believe that Liverpool's money gets spent on the Red Sox or the Red Sox money gets spent on Liverpool or vice versa. They absolutely don't. They are two separate entities and they are run completely separately. But it does give us an indication of the mindset, because the way I've always looked at this is John W. Henry is a Bostonian. John W. Henry is a Red Sox man through and through. And if he can't even bring himself to keep the club that he grew up idolising, his hometown baseball club, if he can't and doesn't want to keep them at the very top of baseball, what hope have we got as Liverpool fans? So as much as they aren't run as the same entity, he does have an emotional attachment to one club, and he doesn't really have an emotional attachment to Liverpool Football Club. So it is kind of maybe an indicator of what type of ownership you get with FSG. It is steady as she goes, but are they really, really there to be successful in the long term? My answer to that is no. It really is just no. Similar stories as well. They broke the curse of the Bambino at the Red Sox, and then they've had a period of success for a little bit, but right now they're flatlining, just like Liverpool. He comes in, has an era of success, and then sits on his laurels. So what does this mean for us going forward with regard to the season? Well, I hope that it means Jurgen Klopp will stick to the 4-2-3-1 formation, because one less midfielder certainly means we've got one less option in there for Kloppo to work with. We don't know what the situation is with Thiago just yet. I did say to you guys yesterday, he wasn't pictured in training. Now, that doesn't mean he is 100% injured. It just means that we don't know. We're left guessing. But also, as well as we're guessing, it will mean Mikel Arteta and Arsenal will be guessing to see if he takes to the pitch of the weekend. Now, today, Spurs picked up a good win away against Brighton, so people are picking up points. That top four is starting to settle a little bit, and we need to start moving up that Premier League table. So look, how big of a loss is Arthur Melo to Liverpool right now? Ultimately, probably not a lot. I know lots of Liverpool fans, myself included, wanted to be positive about this, but it is no surprise to me that once again, an injury-prone player, a player who hasn't been able to settle at his last couple of clubs really, is not available or will pick up an injury. But you also got to ask yourself about our training. It's another muscle injury. How many of these do we pick up in a season on the training ground or because of how hard the players are worked? I'm no coach, you're no coach out there, we're certainly all not sports scientists, but there has to be something. There has to be something linking all these muscle injuries and strains to the way that we set up the player, the way that the players are coached, because he asks a lot of them, and burnout is a thing, but we can't use that as an excuse right now. We are only, the first quarter of the way into the season, and we already have bodies again dropping like flies. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, we need to bring in some younger midfielders, some younger, more robust midfielders. Yes, having Fabio Carvalho is brilliant. Yes, having Harvey Elliott is brilliant. That's a great basis to build off, but you know where I'm going with this. Certain gentlemen there playing today. I think it was a 2-2 draw, by the way, between Dortmund and Bayern Munich. So good for Dortmund to finally get a result there, but we need to go and get Jude. If anything, this just confirms that we can't be in a battle for Jude. We can't lose out on this guy. FSG need to really show up now and do the right thing and get that kid over the line, because I don't see any other solutions out there. There is talk that maybe something can be done in January. Now, I don't mean about Jude Bellingham there. I just mean in general. You've probably seen the newspaper articles this week suggesting that Liverpool are willing and ready to spend big in January. Now, look, I've been around long enough to have heard all of this before. Ultimately, the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and they have to go out there and do it in January. Normally, I wouldn't be optimistic about the January market, but this is a January window that will be coming up after a World Cup where some players will have done what they hoped to do, which is represent their countries, and that's why a lot of players weren't moving clubs before the World Cup. They wanted to make sure that they were settled. Their international managers were confident that they were going to be playing week in and week out, and that they put themselves in their managers' thinking. So after the World Cup, who knows? Will we sign a star breakout player in the World Cup? I doubt it, but I'm sure that we will have talent, and we will have players that we are looking at who maybe will make a cheeky bid for in January. Because let's be honest about it, if we don't act in January now, after another midfielder falling away, I'm not going to be surprised if we don't get Champions League football next season, and I don't think our owners can even feign shock if we don't get Champions League football next season. So once again, I put it over to FSG, and I ask you guys to do the same. It is time to act up, it is time to support Jurgen Klopp, and it is time to stop making excuses and go out there and get the bodies in. In other words, welcome to Thursday Night Football for next season, if we are lucky. That's where I'm at, my friends. I want to know where you're at. Let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video, and please do hit that subscribe button for us. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3:30, we'll be starting the watch along over on our Twitch channel. The link, of course, to that is in the description below. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.